Hey, good morning. It's Brenda with Horse Sense Healing with stories or living your grit with grace. We're coming to you this morning from near Vancouver, Washington, right by the Columbia River. I've been with my family for Thanksgiving. And this morning I'm staying out in the camp trailer and I woke up to hear sounds that I allowed myself to stop and hear. So I hadn't heard the ships, and I heard them this morning on the Columbia River. And I heard the foghorns, I think that's what you call them. But anyway, they have a deep sound, much different than a train. And I found myself thinking about listening. And then I thought about, well, our own listening to others and us feeling heard. And that's a rare gift, to feel heard, and it takes a lot of work and consciousness to truly listen to another. So a lot of us over this last weekend or this weekend have been with gatherings of family and friends and people, or at least had the opportunity to talk with others and have different experiences with feeling heard or truly listening. And maybe you were truly listening or not. Maybe you truly felt heard or not. It's pretty common for us to run around the world and not truly hear another person. And when we don't truly feel heard, how does it feel? Discounting, we might not feel worthy of being heard, all of those dynamics. It gets really complicated. So this weekend, my daughter and I, she lives in Colorado, so we were in charge of cooking for a large gathering of our family, like 21 or 2 people, a lot. So we were both in our get it done mode, organizing, strategizing how to get everything done at the right time with how to do it. And suddenly we found ourselves in this dance of, I don't feel heard. And that was my daughter. She said she didn't feel heard in so many words. And then I went, oh my gosh, I don't get it. I don't get it. And then I realized I was in my distracted mode, anticipating some dynamics of the day and in the get it done mode. And I hadn't been listening. The beautiful news is we were able to stop that dynamic from getting worse and hear each other. And I was able to let her know that I didn't hear her. I wasn't listening. And she was able to ask her what she needed. And then we were both able to understand each other. She didn't know I was distracted by something. So seeking to understand each other in our lives is huge and often doesn't happen. So maybe you were in family dynamics or dynamics this weekend. Maybe you were in get it done, focusing on cooking or planning or whatever it was you were doing, and being with others, and found yourself not being heard or not feeling heard or not listening. Maybe you were distracted by anticipation of dynamics that might be occurring if there were a large gathering of people. A lot of times these holidays, people that aren't always together are together, and there's not always, well, a lot of times there's unfinished business, and listening to each other can be difficult. So what is possible, though, is to learn how to listen without defensiveness or blame, and to learn to ask to be heard if we're not feeling heard. Often people, when they're not heard or don't feel heard, it hurts. People don't feel like they matter. So when you don't feel heard, how does it show up for you? Maybe there's old stories where we didn't have a voice or we didn't feel heard and we don't feel that we matter. And if we're not listening, what is that? Are we too busy? Are we stuck in our minds formulating what we're going to say next, or to give advice, or to tell someone how to fix it, instead of just taking a breath and settling into our hearts and listening? So it can be done. We can learn how. And the horses and I often work with people, particularly women, who've never had their voice heard, who didn't have a choice or a voice. Maybe it was from the long time past. But we work with them to teach them. Well, first we drop the old story, give them voice where they didn't have it before, but we teach them in practice to stand in their voice or to truly listen to another. To listen to the horses is a beautiful gift, and they listen to us. So if you're interested in working with the horses and I to shift those old stories and patterns of perhaps not having a voice or feeling heard, or to learn to listen, we'd love to work with you. So reach out. It's horsesensehealing.com, and have a blessed rest of your day. I'm going to enjoy the sunshine before I head back to Montana tomorrow. Thank you for hanging out with Living with Your Grit with Grace.